Imagine that some apples have gone missing. Imagine that Alice here claims that Bob stole them. Suppose that when you ask Alice why she says that Bob stole them, she replied, "There isn't any evidence that Bob didn't steal them." Would this be a valid reason to believe that Bob stole the apples? Let's explore the appeal to ignorance fallacy to find out. An appeal to ignorance is where someone claims that not having any evidence that something is false is a sufficient reason to believe that that thing is true. So, if someone were to claim that there's a blue teapot orbiting Jupiter and that nobody's invented a telescope powerful enough to check, so it must be true, that would be an appeal to ignorance. The reason that this is a fallacy is that not having evidence doesn't tell you anything either way about whether something is true. In other words, no evidence is evidence of nothing. As we learned in our video on falsification, you only have a strong reason to believe a claim if the evidence is inconsistent with that claim being false. Go and check that video out if you haven't seen it already. A lack of evidence is consistent with any possible claim. So without evidence, there can never be a reason to believe that a claim is true. Where there is no evidence, you can't confidently conclude that the claim is true or that it is false. The only valid conclusion is that it is uncertain whether the claim is true or not. So we can see that Alice's argument is invalid. The absence of evidence that Bob stole the apples is consistent either with Bob having stolen the apples or Bob not having stolen the apples. It's therefore not a reason to believe that Bob did steal the apples. Every time that someone claims that having no evidence is a reason to believe that something is true or not true is an example of an appeal to ignorance. People might say, no evidence is evidence that the conspiracy is working. That would be an appeal to ignorance. The absence of evidence is equally consistent with there being no conspiracy at all. It therefore can't be a reason to believe that there is, in fact, a conspiracy. Sometimes people say things like, people have dismissed claims in the past, but they've turned out to be true. That may be an example of the appeal to ignorance fallacy, depending on the context. If that's followed by something like, and therefore, there's always a slight uncertainty about everything, then there's no fallacy. However, if that's followed with something like, and therefore Santa Claus is real, it's an example of the fallacy. Claiming that uncertainty is a reason to believe or disbelieve a specific claim is always an instance of the fallacy. But you shouldn't confuse an appeal to ignorance with how to deal with when things are uncertain. For example, it's reasonable to have a rule that people who have not been proven guilty of crimes should not be convicted. That's not because the absence of evidence of guilt is a reason to believe that a person is innocent. Rather, it's because it's better for everyone to have a rule that people should not be punished for crimes where it is uncertain whether they committed them. As we found out in our video on the consequences of uncertainty, what to do where something is uncertain can be different for different decisions. It depends on how uncertain that the thing is and how bad it would be if you made the wrong decision. Go and check that video out if you haven't seen it already. So, always be skeptical where someone claims that ignorance about whether a claim is true is reason to believe that it is true or a reason to believe that it is false. Have you come across any examples of an appeal to ignorance recently? If so, let us know in the comments. And if you like this video, check out our other videos on critical thinking and liberal values. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one.